Hello, welcome to Swami Swanton's Palm Reading Palace.
I'm trying to think I got the greatest teacher in this world. That's just a thing.
Welcome to Swami Swanton's.
Let's go.
Class for checkout. Chloe, class for checkout.
Is this your class? This is my class.
This. Welcome to Swami Swanton's Small Reading Palace. Enter if you dare. Welcome to Swami Swanton's.
Chloe orders. Come to the front office. Chloe orders.
Enter if you dare, but only if you dare. Welcome to Swami Swanton's Calm Crystal Ball Reading Palace. But only if you dare. Do you dare? Welcome to Swami Crystal Ball Reading Palace. You may enter if you dare. Yo. I don't know about that. Welcome to Swami Swanton's Crystal Ball. But only if you dare. Only if you dare. Welcome to Swami Swanton's Crystal Ball Reading Palace. You may enter if you dare, but only if you dare. Do you dare? Do you dare?
You're so hot.
Welcome.
How am I feeling?
Welcome to Swami Swanton's Crystal Ball Reading Palace.
Swami Swanton, I think you left some on my
desk. But only if you dare.
You left some on my desk.
I think that is entirely contingent upon the mind of the power. I don't know what I would have done without it.
Why you mad at me? What I did?
Oh, nope, I have.
Not for you.
I've lost my mind. Welcome. There's the tell-all bell of bells. The bell that lets us know it is time for the magic to begin. So, my mind is telling me that you are all wondering about the unified packet. Are you all wondering about the unified packet? Yes, so just hold on to it momentarily. Just hold on to it for the time being. What you have to do is you enter Swami Swanton's mind crystal ball reading palace is you. All right, listen to me. It's my turn. You are going to play along with me. I want you to answer this question. If I had a crystal ball, if you had a crystal ball, what are 10 things that you can see? Yeah, mind reading. You can see being on the EOC. If this is fun, guys. Okay, this is fun. If you had a crystal ball, what are 10 things you can see being? Hang on to it. Being on the U.S. history EOC. I'm gonna give you a few minutes to answer this question. If I had a crystal ball, I have deputized every one of you. You now have a crystal ball. You are mind readers. If I had a crystal ball, what are 10 things that you see being on the EOC? Knowing what you know about our whole class, 5 units and everything inside of it, what do you think could be on a crystal ball? Please write that down. Now you could write them in a nice, neat line. You could write them kind of scattered, like they're floating around the crystal ball. This is fun, guys. We're gonna have fun as we review. So take it just seriously enough to learn, but not too seriously to not have fun. Can we do that? Can we do that? I think we can.
All right. I did it.
Keep the lights low for the ambiance.
I'm done.
We are in Swami Swanson's crystal ball reading palace. Let's not forget that.
I used to live on not that thing, but YouTube.
I don't know. Do you follow my YouTube channel?
Hold on, Mr.
If you
Swanson.
did, you would know.
Mr.
I'm
Swanson.
not at a phone now.
Swami Swanson
Swami
is the
Swanson.
only salutation I will respond to on this day.
Mr. Swami Swanson. You have 21,000 views on one of your YouTube videos. And then you got 5,000 on another, and 4,000 on
One
one.
random YouTube video.
He has a video with the sandcastle stable, and it has 21,000 views.
I don't know if it's a hashtag.
It's just building the sandcastle in my pocket.
All right, do you have 10? Have the powers of the room given you 10 revelations? Oh, I see a blank brain here.
Man's as big with my
Do on the side that says, if I had a crystal ball. It seems the most here on that right side. If I had a crystal ball, Tyler, do you see a 100 in your future?
No.
It seems that you see a 100 in your future.
Why are you growing?
There was 100. Right, yeah, why do you do that?
Are you making the lights twitch?
Swami Swan. Tyler, why are you making the lights twitch, man? You got the powers
Because you're over here
to
making
make the
noises.
lights twitch. I have the powers.
Hey, Ron.
Weird.
Ron, this poor Zila.
What? Bro, that's so.
Are you supposed to be a video?
All right, about 1 more minute to populate the crystal ball.
This is Swami song.
Is this not how fortune tellers talk?
Are you supposed to be a
I always
video?
assume that this is how fortune tellers talk. Woo!
Are you supposed to be a video?
This is Swami Swanson's crystal ball in the palace. Trying to really toe the line here, not get too creepy. I'm not sure it's working. Addison says it's not working. All right, once you have 10, I'll put my big boy voice on. Once you have 10, turn to a partner and share with them. How many do you have in common? Did you come up with the exact same 10? I doubt it. I can't get y'all to agree on 10 things. So turn to a partner and share with them. Whether it's a side partner, front, back. If there's a group of 3 that you can chat with, that's fine. Just turn to a partner. Turn to a partner. No, I don't. That is not what'll be on the end.
Think that has the units on it?
You might think for your brain dump, that's a really easy place to start.
Hey, you thought
Those type of items might be on the EOC. So talk to a partner for about 2 minutes.
What numbers and letters will be on the US DVDs? That's a fact. So I'll try to.
That's such game.
Whoa, Swami Swanson will give you the correct answer.
I got Salutary Neglect. Because I remember you said that was very big.
Bro, who's that?
I didn't even notice.
Good. I turn to a different partner, not the person you were just talking to. Tell them what 10 things the crystal ball has revealed to you will be on the EOC, sometimes known as the REDD in this class. Turn to someone else. Turn to someone else. The person you weren't, so you might need to move, right? Go find another buddy. Turn to someone else. We're cross-comparing our notes. There's no way that you came up with the same thing. You guys are too unique, too different in your thinking to have come up with exactly the same thing. So share with someone else what you made. Tyler, go share with Eric. Go share with Eric.
Aaron.
All right, watch this. Watch this.
Eric.
Tyler's hard to say that.
That's so
There's 100% going to be a question about my great.
Have you shared with 2 people at this point? Mr. Swan shared with 2 people?
Do you ever think they built that statue to do people different? You think they got enough science to do it?
I just said ass.
I did.
All right. So now, where you're at, since we had so much movement in the room, you can go back to your original seat, whatever that was. Share with the room for me. Glenn, what is something you think will be on the EOC?
100% salutary neglect.
Salutary neglect. This is excellent, Glenn. That's a really big idea. What is salutary neglect?
Man, the UK was like, their own colonies can do whatever they want now for like 100 years.
Okay. What then? So okay. I will let you behave as you want. Now, the analogy I always came up with was parenting. If a parent let its child act however they wanted until one night, bam, your curfew is at 9:30 p.m. Right? All of a sudden, out of the blue, nothing led into this except out of the blue. How would that child behave?
Man, I'll be pissed.
Rebel. So salutary neglect is exactly like that. Britain, this is important, y'all. Glenn brought it up. This is important. Britain let the colonies behave on their own, right? They didn't tax them. They didn't regulate them. They let them have their own assemblies, right? Elected assemblies. Until, bam, curfew 9:30 p.m. Until they took salutary neglect away. So salutary neglect leads to what? The American Revolution. There's the connection you need to make. Salutary neglect leads to the American Revolution. Glenn, I think your crystal ball was on to something. That was a good one. TK, what you got?
You haven't seen my crystal ball?
Nope. I do.
I said the Indian Removal Act.
Indian Removal Act. Okay, excellent. What presidency did that fall under?
Andrew Jackson.
Andrew Jackson.
Andrew Jackson. Excellent. Where were Indians prior to removal?
The West
On the
Coast.
West.
No.
No. It was-
Georgia.
Like literally right where we are. Yeah, you should think. Indians started in Georgia, right where we are. Now, where did they move to? No, not that far west.
North.
Where am I from?
North.
Oklahoma.
Right, remember the unassigned
Oh,
lands?
okay.
Right, people thought it was trash land, which I disagree with personally. But people thought that the plains were trash land, so they put the Indians there. How did the Indians get there?
They had to walk.
That's right, a forced walk. So here's how I think that question could possibly be on the EOC. If I use my crystal ball, I think it would probably not just look for the simple definition, what was the Indian Removal Act, but it might show you a map and say person groups from all the dots right here in Georgia. Where did Andrew Jackson's Indian Removal Act send them to? And you would maybe have to indicate something like the middle of the country, Oklahoma. So I think that it won't just be the definition. It'll be a question that makes you bring in all your understanding of it. And I agree, TK, that it might be on the EOC because it deals with an oppressed people group. And I think that our curriculum deals with a lot of oppressed people groups. We want to make sure that the people that got harmed, that we know their history. And I think the big fat reason for that is so that you, future congressmen, congressmen and women, presidents, leaders of industry, etc., so that you won't make the same mistakes. That's why. Who else has something from their crystal ball? Tyler, did you say you had something? I'll get everybody. Tyler, you said something. 100 is on your crystal ball. Okay, I like it. Brayley.
Middle passage.
Middle passage. Excellent. I think Brayley's crystal ball is on to something. Brayley, what was middle passage? Hey, listen. I'll split it up. Okay, the side chatting, I'll just move you to a different. I'll Indian removal act you. Okay, I'll move you across the country, and you won't be able to chat with them.
It was the one.
What
that
is middle
brought
passage?
slaves over. The ones that brought.
Yes, it was a part of transatlantic trade, triangular trade. It was the only leg that has a nickname. Tyler,
I'm sorry.
read my eyeballs. Read them real good.
He's saying shut the
Thank
up.
you.
Fix your disc.
What'd you just say?
I said he's saying shut the up.
Did you say it?
No, I did not say it.
Okay, Madeline, you're right here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, middle passage, transatlantic trade.
I didn't even say it.
What moved along middle passage, Madeline Metters? Dang. Slaves, that's right. Okay, what were the slaves seen as?
Property.
Property, yeah, a product,
Women.
right? Just like trading cotton or tobacco or manufactured goods, the slaves were seen as a product. All right. Who else has something on their crystal ball? Andrew.
I got the president.
You got the presidents. I think the presidents, something about presidents will definitely be on the EOC. So I think your crystal ball is onto something there. Pick one in particular.
I got one.
I'm gonna get everybody. Andrew Johnson. What do you think that we're gonna remember about Andrew Johnson?
So got what she said.
That's the wrong Johnson.
No. So Glenn makes a great point. Andrew Johnson. Let me point right here. Who's he sitting next to?
He was Abraham Lincoln's vice president.
Excellent. Okay. So what do we know about him then? What was he the first of?
Presidential Reconstruction.
Oh, first impeachment.
Presidential Reconstruction.
First president to get impeached. That's right. He butted heads with Congress over Reconstruction policies, and he was impeached.
I said first.
So Andrew, I think you might have meant Lyndon Johnson, and that's fine. But Andrew Johnson is a first. A lot of times an exam is going to want to dive into the firsts, and Andrew Johnson was the first to be impeached. I would think about why. I think that's the big piece of it. Glenn.
I was trying to talk to Justin, but he was saying.
Well, talk to me instead.
I think he had Great Depression on there. I couldn't really read it though.
Great Depression, a major time period, right? A part of your brain dump. So any of the words on your brain dump is getting after the major ideas. How do you think the Great Depression, what does your crystal ball say? How is the Great Depression going to be on the exam?
The stock market crash.
Okay, it began with the stock market crashing.
It began with stock market.
What is something real characteristic of the Great Depression? Like if the test were to give you a photograph, what do you think the photograph might be? The Dust Bowl. Excellent. I think that because it's so visually descriptive, the Dust Bowl might have a photograph describing, it might show a photograph of dust on a farm, and they would say during the time period depicted in the photograph, Americans ... right? And migrated to the West, had a hard time farming their land, topsoil went bad, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot that could go into that. Glenn, I think the Great Depression is definitely going to be on the EOC. Eric, say it again. Manifest destiny means what?
From sea to signing sheet.
Thanks, Eric. Eric, what does manifest destiny mean?
Moving west.
Moving westward. What is so destined about it? What the belief is governed by what? Yeah, by God himself, we have the right to stretch from sea to shining sea. What's the sea on the East Coast?
Pacific.
No, the coast that we're on. If you're going to go to the ocean right now, what ocean is it going to be? Atlantic. And then the other shining sea is Pacific Ocean. Yeah. Now, what did we have to do to get all of that land? Stomp on a bunch of people, right? We had to trample the rights of mostly what people group? Yeah, Indians, Native Americans, or specifically the Plains Indians. And we talked a lot about buffalo changing their way of life when the buffalo started to go extinct. All that. Eric, what else does your crystal ball say? Bill Clinton. What about him? I think I heard Alan's crystal ball say this as well. Yeah. Monica Lewinsky scandal. Now, that's really interesting, right? Because it deals with something sexy. But the real takeaway is what was Bill Clinton's crime? Lying. Yeah, lied under oath. I think the EOC might try to get after that type of a value, right? Why do we study it? So that young people know that you can't lie. You can't lie in life. You get ahead.
Oh, God, you can't.
No, you can't. No, you can't. It is not a core value of Americans. We don't believe in lying. So, anyone else? Anyone else hanging out with a good thought? Tyler, what's on your crystal ball?
World War.
World Wars.
Which
Pick
one?
one. Which one?
8.
Cold War.
Nope, not that one. Pick a world war.
World War One.
World War I. What about it? How did it start? How did the U.S. get drawn into it?
The dividing to Mexico.
Okay, what's that called, Tyler?
Check. Oh,
Telegram.
Yeah, whose telegram? No, Z word.
No, Zimmermann, that's what I said.
Zimmermann telegram. You know what, Tyler? You would have pulled that off a list. Okay, you wouldn't have even seen the Truman telegram. If you saw Zimmermann, that's right. The letter Z. If you can associate Z, Zimmermann telegram, with World War I, that's really good. Glenn, what else does your crystal ball say?
American Revolution.
No, well, that's a broad statement. What about it?
Death row in the South.
What?
I mean, destruction of the land in the South.
So I think you're actually talking a little bit more Civil War,
Oh, yeah.
right? The Civil War,
Yeah,
a lot of destruction in the South. Excellent. Ryan, I know you're a deep thinker. What's in your crystal ball? Ah, you're definitely onto something. So Ryan grabbed part of our brain dump, 13, 14, 15. What are the words that go with that?
Free citizens.
Free citizens vote. Now, more than just knowing that word, Ryan, what is the 13th Amendment really about? What did it do away with? Freed the slaves. The 13th Amendment, lucky number 13, however you want to think about it, abolish slavery. Flat out abolish slavery.
That wasn't the 13th, bro.
13. 14 made
Now.
14 made everyone a citizen, and then 15 gave the right to vote to everyone except
George Washington.
right? So when we say the right to vote related to number 15, you got to think that not women, not yet. So your crystal balls, I think, are pretty keyed in. You guys have some pretty good crystal balls, some pretty accurate information. I hope you shared with each other. I'm curious, though, if you're wondering.
What's in your crystal ball?
Oh, snap!
Dang!
Is that from Frozen?
What does my crystal ball say might be on the So flip your page over. This next couple minutes of class is called If I Had a Crystal Ball, I think that it would show. You wrote your answers on one side. I want you to jot down my thoughts on the other side, and we're just going to have a good conversation as we go. So if I had a crystal ball, I think that it would show.
Joe Biden. A Quaker.
Thomas Jefferson. My crystal ball has just showed me Thomas Jefferson. What do we know about Thomas Jefferson? So write down Thomas Jefferson. Primary author of the Declaration. Oh, my crystal ball continues to speak. The Declaration of Independence. Now, was he the only author of the Declaration of Independence? Benjamin? No, Benjamin Franklin and John Adams were also authors, but very young, 33-year-old Thomas Jefferson was one of the primary authors of the Declaration of Independence. What's that? They called him Red. That's an interesting side fact, but my crystal ball does not show that will be on the exam.
Hey, man.
Now, Thomas Jefferson, a lot of people like to think he's a really smart guy who did all this writing on his own. History and my crystal ball shows me that Thomas Jefferson actually copied another man's writing. Whose writing was that?
John Locke.
John Locke. Excellent. Thomas Jefferson modeled his thinking after the Enlightenment thinker John Locke. John Locke writes the words life, liberty, and property are natural rights. Thomas Jefferson writes life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are unalienable rights. So very similar writing. If you guys tried to turn in a paper like that, it'd be called plagiarism. But Thomas Jefferson, he gets to get away with it because, there was no Turnitin plagiarism checker back in the day. Andrew?
How do you know that he plagiarized it? He could just.
We know
that.
We know that Thomas Jefferson was a reader of John Locke and Enlightenment thought, and the writing is just too darn similar, right? He definitely was influenced by John Locke. Okay, so plagiarism or not, he definitely was influenced by John Locke. So that's the first thing that my crystal ball tells me. Oh, it speaks again.
Slaves.
Oh, and what I see is the 3/5 compromise. Now, this is a little bit a smaller one that we maybe, I don't know if we fully elaborated on. Well, we did several times. We get the big things in history, right? We get the George Washingtons. I think my crystal ball tells me this is likely to be on the exam because, similar to kind of what I said in our first conversation, it deals with an oppressed people group. The 3/5 compromise. What type of people was it counting? African Americans. Why is it named what it's named? The 3/5 compromise.
Said black people are only 3/5 of a person.
Yeah, so it's a matter of counting African Americans in the country. The North wanted them to count for taxation. Every slave in the South must be taxed. The South, they didn't want them counted for taxation, but they wanted them counted for representation. That way that they would get more members in Congress based off of their population and the population of Africans. Well, the North didn't want them to be counted for voting purposes. What we have is a middle ground here where 3/5 of every black person is counted for taxation and representation. Now, were they chopping people into fifths?
Yes.
Were they counting only 1/5 of a person?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Conceptually, they were counting 3 out of every 5 African Americans. But it feels like, right, the social implication is that African Americans are only 3/5 of a person. Whereas your white people on top of the picture there, every single one of them is counted. So I have a hunch, my crystal ball has told me that the 3/5 compromise, I would expect a question about something related to the 3/5 compromise. So do you have Thomas Jefferson written down? And you have the 3/5 compromise written down. Let's see if I get another thought.
Great question for taking great question.
13th Amendment.
My crystal ball shows.
Women vote.
But wait, there's more. Oh, I have a full revelation.
13, 14, 15.
These are the Reconstruction Amendments. All right. Now, you know them. Some of you shouted already. We know them as 13, 14, and 15. Free citizens and vote. In fact, Ryan, was it you that your crystal ball saw this as well? Excellent. Free citizens vote. These are the Reconstruction Amendments. So it is great that we have these memorized. I really think we do. It's a part of our brain dump. I've graded your brain dump several times now. I know we have these memorized. I imagine that a question on the exam might use the phrase Reconstruction Amendments, and you need to associate that with 13, 14, 15. Or a question might say something about the amendment that abolished slavery. That's 13, right? Freed people. So a question could be packaged in a variety of ways referring to the Reconstruction Amendments, free citizens vote, 13, 14, 15. But I'm confident that this class, this group has enough head knowledge to think through that type of a question and actually arrive at the right answer. Eliminate wrong answers and arrive at the right answer. So do you have Reconstruction Amendments written down?
I got 13, 14,
Reconstruction Amendments and 13, 14, 15, something like that. Oh, man, let's see if I still have any brain powers left.
Great question. I'm predicting it. No.
Oh, Glenn, are we on the same page? Are we channeling the same energy? Glenn Taylor just said Plessy versus Ferguson. And in fact, my crystal ball has turned up a political cartoon that is related to Plessy versus Ferguson. The judicial principle established is separate but equal. Now, it's notable that my crystal ball didn't just turn up the words Plessy versus Ferguson. My crystal ball didn't just turn up a picture of Homer Plessy himself. My crystal ball has revealed this particular political cartoon. Why do you think my crystal ball showed this political
That's
cartoon?
more than likely going to be on the test.
She's heard it so many times that she's tired of hearing it, and that's great because we're about to go perform on the test and you won't have to hear me say it anymore. If I were to bank a paycheck on any single political cartoon being on the exam, it would be this one. Now, don't come and tell me that it was or it wasn't, right? We're not supposed to talk about the test after it's over. But I'd be real surprised if you guys don't arrive at whatever question number it is, and I bet you're even gonna chuckle. Ha, he was right. All right, there it is. This one in particular, I really believe has a strong possibility of being on the exam. So let's make sure we understand it. The car that is not beat up, who's that car reserved for?
The whites.
Okay, white people. And then the more beat up car is reserved for
Colored people.
colored people. Very often we think African Americans. Now, it doesn't say colored people. What phrase does it say? Jim Crow car. What is that referring to? Jim Crow laws, which are a variety of laws that get after oppressing colored people, racist laws that keep colored people kind of beat down, pressed down. So you guys clearly have a pretty good working knowledge of all of that. And I really hope, right? Give me the smile afterwards. If you know what, don't. Just smile to yourself when this is on the EOC, because we've talked about it so much. And you are definitely going to get that question right. I would hope it would be a freebie. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, slime, baby.
Colonies.
Is it broke? Are we done? On my crystal ball, I see. Oh, it's slow to come to me, but I see a big stick and diplomacy. I see Teddy Roosevelt's big stick diplomacy. Right? Another example of a political cartoon. I think that this could be expressed through this image, right? Not just a text statement that says Teddy Roosevelt's big stick diplomacy. I think it might be something along the lines of, during the age of imperialism, how did the United States' policy called the big stick diplomacy impact its interactions with countries around the world? Well, tell me, what is big stick diplomacy? What's it actually referring to? Okay, you guys got the quote. So the speak softly part, what is that really trying to say? Be friendly, make friends all around the world, trade with them, talk to them until
you betray them.
No. Until they betray you, maybe, right? Until you need to enforce discipline, until you need to enforce your laws, until you need to make sure that they know you will use your military if you need to, until you need to use a big stick. Okay? Speak softly, make friends with everybody until you need to enforce your own laws. Then hammer the big stick. What president is this related to? Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt has a corollary to what? No, the other doctrine. Teddy Roosevelt has a corollary to what doctrine? That's right, the Monroe Doctrine. The Monroe Doctrine, right? There are two Roosevelts. I'm glad we're just catching this. Hey, so I'm reviewing, right? We're at a conversational pace right now. The Monroe Doctrine says, hey, Europe, you stay there. We'll stay here. There's an ocean between us. The Roosevelt corollary says, and if anyone in Latin America owes you money, we, the United States, will collect it and give it to you. You don't come over here and take it. You don't come over here and colonize. We will collect those debts for you and send them to you. So all of this fits into Roosevelt's brand of diplomacy, big stick diplomacy. So kind of political cartoon number one, political cartoon number two, both of them, man with the big mustache, man with the big stick. Whoa. This is referring to Teddy Roosevelt and his big stick diplomacy. Do you have that written down? Do you have that written down? Okay. Yes, I wonder how many more revelations shall my crystal ball?
Hydration.
Nixon.
You're slow to come to me. The Zimmermann telegram. I see in my crystal ball the Zimmermann telegram. 3 in a row, kind of expressed as a political cartoon. Now, that's not to say that the question would be only in a political cartoon. I really wanted to hammer Plessy Ferguson. But the Zimmermann telegram. Zimmermann telegram draws who into what?
Germany.
World War I. The United States into the First World War, right? This is what actually gets us involved in World War I. What was our attitude before this time? Neutrality, and then the I word, isolationism. Again, hey, Europe, you and all your problems are across the ocean. You're over there. We are going to stay here, take care of ourselves. America first is one idea, one way to look at it. That was our attitude until we ourselves were affected. Until Mexico was being told to get involved in the war. Now all of a sudden we cannot ignore that. The American people are now ready for war. So America does go to war, right? We go to World War I. We actually break the stalemate. The presence of American soldiers is ultimately what wins the war, beats Germany. Let's just say the war is winding down. Our president, who was really committed to staying out of the war until it was time to get involved in the war, now our president comes up with a peace plan. What's this peace plan called?
Wilson's 14 points.
Wilson's 14 points. Now, Wilson's 14 points were very, very generous to Germany. Germany's been the bad guy this whole time, but Wilson's 14 points, they get about peace. They get after actually trying to achieve peace in the world. It proposes a particular organization. What was that?
League of Nations.
League of Nations. And who never gets around to actually joining that thing?
Us.
The United States itself, right? We never joined this thing that our own president proposed. Now, sometimes I have found, right? I've had some side conversation with students. I've actually had my world history students kind of chime in on this as well. Wilson's 14-point peace plan is focused on peace. The Treaty of Versailles is focused on punishment, right? Other European nations wanted to punish Germany. So Wilson's 14-point peace plan isn't really the same thing as the treaty. The treaty is very different. It actually goes about trying to punish Germany. And, so that's kind of a lot of elaboration on the Zimmermann telegram and the American role in World War I. Let me make sure I said everything I wanted to say. I think I did. Okay, man. I don't know about you. I'm running out of brain juice. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much more power I have. So everybody put a hand forward. Let's see if I've got another round of juice in this thing. Everybody put a hand forward. Let's see here. What do you think? Woo, it worked. It worked. It really worked. Oh, Franklin Delano Roosevelt and the New Deal. Now, Roosevelt becomes president after who? Nope, after Hoover. And how is that name almost basically like a cuss word, right? Hoover is a negative connotation. Hoovervilles. Good job. A lot of y'all are saying it. So Hoover was known as a do-nothing president. By gosh, what was Roosevelt going to be? What was Roosevelt going to be? Do something. He's going to do something. What he does is called the New Deal. The New Deal is a series of programs designed to boost the economy and help people recover from what? What's the big thing that needs to be recovered from? Glenn, you've been saying it a couple times. The Great. Yeah, was it you saying that or Eric? One of y'all been chirping about the Great Depression.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, so Roosevelt's programs are designed to help America recover from the Great Depression. But programs cost what? Money. Roosevelt's programs were costing what went into what kind of spending?
Money we didn't have.
We call it deficit spending. Remember, spending money we don't even have. So were his programs good? It gave people jobs? Yes. A criticism is that it cost too much money, and it was money we don't even have. A long-lasting legacy from Roosevelt's New Deal is what? What's something that still exists today, probably helps your grandparents out?
New Deal.
That is a part of it. That is true.
Mr. Swanson, I need Addison Hill for checkout, please.
On her way. Oh,
Good.
my crystal ball says.
No.
Maybe not.
Nope, it says maybe not. It says maybe not. You didn't even know it talked. Let's try it one more time. Addison, let's see if you're allowed to go. Everybody be quiet.
You're gonna get a whooping.
Joe Biden.
Yes.
Okay, you can go this time. You can go this time.
Yeah, Trump.
You can go this time.
Trump in your ball? Was that Trump in your ball?
It is Trump on the ball.
Trump's eating your ball.
Yeah.
Whoa.
President Trump is President Predicto on my crystal ball here. So, Addison, I will post this to Google Classroom.
President Trump's on
I hope you enjoyed the
Hey, bro.
the situation today. All right, you, TK, you were saying it. What was it? Social Security Act. Social Security provides money for what kind of Americans?
Old people.
Old age pensions. Right. And this is, no, that's something a little different. That's the GI Bill. Social Security Act, part of New Deal. Okay, you got to make that connection. Social Security Act is the long-lasting legacy of the New Deal. A lot of New Deal programs not still around present day. But I mean, that's kind of understandable. It's been 80 years. But the very long-lasting program has been the Social Security Act. Okay. So, Addison, one more before you go. Let's see if the crystal ball will turn up one more
You had
thing.
a big disappointment. Nothing.
Oh, it's a movie theater, and I think that it represents. If I could.
Who got murdered? Who got murdered? Hey, we're not going to get murdered.
He's not.
While you might have been along the right track about the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, this theater represents the two theaters of World War II. The one theater is known as the Pacific, and the reason I show this is, do you guys realize this has been up here for several weeks?
Yes, you keep
Right? Like
out.
basically giving you an answer in class. Now, as we change rooms to take the exam, and we will be changing rooms, but you may still mentally be able to walk yourself around this room, and if you need to, think about a couple of key things that are in this room. So the Pacific is one theater where was it being fought?
Pacific.
Okay, the Pacific Ocean and
Japan.
what continent?
Asia.
Yeah, closer to Japan. The main enemy in the Pacific theater was the Japanese. Asia, Southeast Asia. What was the style of fighting? What did they do?
I just said it. Trade.
No,
Island hopping.
island hopping, right? If you're in the ocean, Tyler, it's important. Think about it. If you're in the ocean, you're going to go from island to island to island. Island hopping, okay? Island hopping. That's the Pacific theater. The other main theater of operations is known as the European theater. And who was the main enemy there? Hitler country. Germany, yeah. Also Italy, to a little lesser degree, right? But we easily think about Nazi Germany. You can also think about Hitler. What was the turning point battle in the European theater?
No, Gettysburg.
D-Day, Tyler. I hope you're joking, right? He's joking, right?
No,
TK, turning point battle in the European theater of World War II is what? D-Day.
Operation
D-Day. Also known as Operation Overlord. That's, you know what, guys? That's the military name. And I'm going to tell you, my crystal ball does not see that for the exam. But you might see the town that it was in. And what is that? Normandy. Okay. D-Day or Normandy, France, the Normandy invasion. That is probably what it'd be referred to as, and that is the turning point of the war in Europe. Now, let me tell you why my crystal ball kind of changed the screen up a little bit and made it look like a movie theater. Because this is important. Ready? The standards that the tests are written on, they got updated pretty recently, and one of those update dates included the phrasing European theater, Pacific theater. That's relatively new in the standards. People don't change standards and then not use the language that they added to the standards. So my hunch is that because it's pretty new phrasing, you would see European theater, Pacific theater. And again, I know you guys probably default to thinking about a movie theater. That's why I'm explaining it so thoroughly. I would really be surprised if you didn't see a map of some sort that is explaining what are you looking at? This is the theater of operations for what? European fighting Hitler or something like that, okay? So that's why I'm hammering that phrase. I really think that you're going to see the word theater on the exam. Let's see if I got any more juice left. What do you think?
Great Depression.
Truman.
Eastern Pacific. Eastern Theater.
Hey, can I?
It's coming to me. I see. Martin Luther King
I
Jr.
have that on my
Martin Luther King Jr. Tyler Thomas. What?
Did you ask that if Secure is an island?
Nope, probably not.
Real quick.
Martin Luther King Jr. is known. He's the face of what?
Civil rights.
Civil rights movement. Okay. What was his major strategy for
Non-violent protest.
nonviolence? Super
Gandhi.
important. In that regard, who's kind of his partner in nonviolence?
Gandhi.
Cesar Chavez. That's right. Now it's motivated by Gandhi, but you guys are right. My crystal ball did not turn up Cesar Chavez, but I think Cesar Chavez is kind of connected to MLK via the nonviolence. What major writing is Martin Luther King Jr. known for? Tyler. I have a dream. Yes, I do. It's a speech.
Oh God.
And then what actual writing? Letter from a Birmingham jail. Okay. This is the kind of thing where I know you guys usually, if you see a box and it's got 5 lines of writing, you guys are like, that's a lot of writing. I would really expect that this speech or that essay is something that has a bit of an excerpt. Okay. So what you need to be thinking about is keyword. You don't have to have the speech memorized. You don't have to have letter from a Birmingham jail memorized. But if you see keywords like Birmingham, Alabama, bus boycott, race, rights, nonviolence, those are words in the text that have got to lead you to Martin Luther King Jr. Okay. We talked briefly about Rosa Parks. She's not super highlighted in the standards, so we're not reviewing on her. I think my ball's got a couple more. That was a weird way to put it.
Oh God. Great impression.
Oh, there he is. There's the man. President Barack Obama is associated with what election?
2008.
2008. You see it on my board right here? Guys, why do I keep referring to the wall of presidents?
Because it's a wall of presidents.
Well, when we move classrooms, you're not going to be able to see it, but you might still remember it, okay? So election of 2008, Barack Obama. What was his campaign motto at that time? Hope and change. Why was that an effective campaign motto? Yeah, people were ready for a change from the Republicans. Okay, George Bush had been in office for 8 years. Tyler, right here. I'm spitting some mad juice right here. Like it's important. This is important information. They're just ready for change, and it was the economy. Okay, the economy is what kind of took a downturn. People are ready for change. This is, I know you guys are like, shout me down all at once. Barack Obama was the first president of color, African-American, black. Okay, all those phrases are relevant. What type of a question would you expect to see about Barack Obama? Because let me tell you what it won't be. It will not be who was the first black president. That will not be the question.
You're lying.
So what kind of a question would you maybe expect to see, Tyler?
Who won the election of 2008? Oh, yeah, okay.
Tyler.
Who won the election of 2008?
Y'all good.
What president inspired many blacks and Hispanics?
That's a great thought. That is a little bit more elaborating on the big idea, because the impact was that he inspired his election or his candidacy inspired more people to go vote. Nate, what? He did serve for 8 years. That's probably on the smaller side. I don't want to tell you that the question we did in class is going to be identical to a question on the exam. In fact, it probably won't be. But that question where you read part of a speech and he referenced his father who was unable to get a seat at a table 60 years earlier, what kind of a father does he have?
A black man.
A black one, right? So that's your clue. Who's the only black president?
Me.
Barack Obama. So I really think that a question will be a little bit more layered like that, okay? It'll make you think through it a couple different steps, more than just who's the first president or who's the first black president of the United States. All right, if my memory serves me correctly, and I am a mind reader. Oh, my memory does not serve me correctly. We got a couple more.
Great question.
Next in my crystal ball, I think that I see.
Great question. Bill of Rights.
The Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights. How? What is the Bill of Rights?
A bill that has rights in it.
That's
never goes wrong.
see, that's just using the words to try to describe it back to me, right? Don't do that. What is the Bill of Rights? What is it attached to?
Rights.
The Constitution is exactly right, Glenn. The Constitution.
I said right.
How many items are in the Bill of Rights?
13.
10.
10.
10. Oh, yeah, 10.
Right? It is the first 10 what? It's an A word. Amendments. All right. Are we on the same page now? Bill of Rights, first 10 amendments. Now, here's the larger takeaway. These amendments are designed to protect what?
Humanity.
Your
Freedom.
personal
Right.
freedoms.
Freedom.
Your personal freedoms. Now, 10, that's a lot. We don't have them memorized. Actually, to safeguard individual liberties. Do jot that down. My crystal ball turned up that extra information. Safeguard individual liberties, personal freedoms is kind of the same way to put it.
Like when they let the soldiers go into people's house without asking.
That's right. That is the third amendment. And that, do you see how that protects your personal freedoms? Your house belongs to you. So you do not have to let a soldier come into it if you don't want to.
I'll let you go.
Now, one of the more popular amendments in the Bill of Rights is the second one. What is the second amendment?
Right to bear arms.
Right to bear arms. Raw. I've got bear arms. Get it? Get it? It's a hot topic today because it's related to the right to have guns. Your individual freedom. Okay, I know I got a lot of hunters. I got a lot of probably pro Second Amendment people here. Your personal right is to have a firearm. So think about, if you can't remember the rest of it, think about that. Alan, Eric, right here. If you can't think about the whole package, think about that. I have the right to have a gun because of the Bill of Rights. It protects my individual right to have a gun. Another really important amendment is the first one, the right to free speech, the right to press, the right to assembly, which means to protest. The First Amendment, I mean, it really should be 3 or 4 amendments, but it's only one. Those are a lot of individual liberties. The right to free speech, that is you having the right to have an opinion and to say it out loud. So the big package is the right to, safeguarding individual liberties. Bill of Rights safeguards individual liberties. You got it?
Do you ask them all if I'm an island boy?
One time.
See, the problem is I don't know what that phrase means. And
I'm
I'm afraid of saying that out loud and getting in trouble.
It's not, I swear, it's not.
All right, my crystal ball. I think I got a couple more.
Great.
If
The
you're an
question.
island boy.
Great.
I mean, what are your ball not?
Because I'm an island.
Muckrakers. What's a muckraker? What profession did they have? Most of them?
Journalism.
Journalists. Excellent, right? So the picture there shows a guy at a typewriter. He's a journalist.
That's not a guy.
What
That's
did-
a box.
Touche. What did they do to various industries?
Exposed.
Exposed them for being great places to work,
No,
Yes.
for
being trash.
wrongdoing.
They're not
Probably
island
Being
boys.
trash. I like that, for wrongdoing. So what is probably the most famous muckraker is who?
Rockefeller.
There you go. Upton Sinclair. Tyler, my man. Like on time, on target, all that other stuff. That's weird. I don't know what's going on. I'm afraid I'm going to get hit. Upton Sinclair wrote a book. What's it called?
The jungle.
The Jungle. What's it about? What is he really?
Meat factory.
Yeah, the meat packing.
Let's go.
Okay? The reason we've hammered that a lot is because he's probably the most notable that you really need to put in your brain. But as a concept, right, as the larger concept, muckrakers are journalists who expose corruption in various industries. Tyler, go ahead and sharpen your pencil if that's what you're waiting for.
I didn't predict that.
Because I'm an island
So
boy.
you're telling me.
All right.
Question on the
My mind reading memory has returned to me, and I now remember that I have one more
Civil War.
interaction with my crystal ball here. So let's see what the last thing my crystal ball might turn up is.
Civil War. Cold War. Cold War. Cold War. What? No, never. No.
September 11th, 2001.
I knew it.
We don't have to elaborate on the big idea. That is when America was attacked by what kind of people? Terrorists that were motivated by what? Religion.
Global war on terrorism.
Muslims. Who was president?
George Bush.
George Bush. What did it start? What did it kick off?
Global war on terrorism.
Global war on terrorism. What was the Bush doctrine? Bush's attitude is what?
Right.
We're gonna go get you,
We'll get you.
right?
Better
We're not gonna let you come and attack us again. We're gonna go and get you. What? Now we call it the global war on terrorism, but what two countries did we send troops to?
Israel.
Nope, not that one.
No, Afghanistan.
Afghanistan and Iraq. Okay, Afghanistan and Iraq are the two countries that mainly. Okay, I'm emphasizing that mainly. So, whew,
Insecure, I love all this.
we'll do that at the end of class. I promise. Now, this was if I had a crystal ball. But what do you think my big butt is?
I don't.
But
I don't.
But I don't. Because hear me now. Like I legit. This is not wink, wink, stomp, stomp. Memorize this stuff. I don't
What's that in your hand?
have a crystal ball. Right? I don't know what's going to be on this exam.
But you do know.
But it's my big butt. But I have some really good guesses. And I think that we just went over some main parts. Now, I went over, I think that was 13 items. If I remember correctly, that was 13 or 14. I can't remember what I ended up with. How many tests, how many questions are going to be on the exam? 42. 42. So my questions, my 14 items, clearly that's not 42 items. I didn't flush out a full prediction of 40 questions that would be on the exam. Your study guides still what? They freaking matter, right? Your study guides matter. They do exist. So actually, at this time, pull out all 5 of them.
I don't have one.
Stack up your 5, and that's precisely why I'm doing this, Glenn. Stack up your 5 study guides, and after I've walked the room looking for your study guides, we will take a bathroom break.
Ellen. Insecure, I love boy.
100%.
100%.
Oh yeah.
Tyler lying. I'm just kidding.